What's up, everyone? Thank you for listening to the Whatcast. We were going to talk about something that was really cool that we were doubtful about being authentic right from the get-go. And we compiled a bunch of information on it. And right at the end, Mike did his Mike thing and found out that it's all bullshit.
Total bullshit. And it's interesting, too, because it was brought up, I think on Twitter, right? Someone brought it up?
Yeah, Mr. Gavin Thompson actually had just told us, I think it was yesterday, you guys should talk about this. And we're like, oh, but we decided we're going to talk about it anyway a little bit. We're flying by the seat of our pants here.
Yeah.
So this should be a fun or annoying episode.
Maybe both. Maybe it'll be fun and annoying. But we don't have a complete agenda. Feel free to also fly by the seat of your pants while listening to this.
Right. It's fun.
And if you're a cartoon character, you could probably lift the back of your pants up and blow a fan, and then they'd get all big and blow up like a balloon, and then you could fly away with your balloon pants that you're flying by. And then you would literally be flying by the seat of your pants because the seat of your pants is the balloon.
So what is this thing that we researched so diligently? I mean, I saw a couple videos on it, and then when I went to do a little bit of research, I found a couple articles talking about it that had a lot more details and information on it. It was looking good there for a minute.
It's just one of these modern I don't know if you'd call them creepypastas exactly, but it's got that sort of thing, like the Russian sleep experiment, like that sort of vibe to it.
Mm-hmm.
Where it seems almost plausible, but you're like, it's probably bullshit, and then you look it up and it's like, yeah, that's bullshit. The story didn't exist before the internet. But it's for anyone that wants to look it up themselves, the story revolves around this thing called Organism 46B, and it was supposed to be an octopus that had 14 arms. So I guess it wouldn't be an octopus at that point. It'd be whatever 14 would be.
Oh, octopus.
Yeah, it doesn't have the same ring to it. So basically it's an octopus. It just has 14 arms. But it has the ability to paralyze victims with its venom, and it can shoot its venom from up to 150 feet away. But it could get big and shrink down really fast and fit through small openings. It would flash colors just like other octopuses do, and but by the colors that it would flash and the patterns it would use, it would create a hypnotic feeling for people that stared at it. And first they thought the scientists that discovered this alleged thing, which is in Antarctica, by the way, I forgot to mention that, they discovered that it had the ability to, well, they thought at first it was camouflage, but it turned out it had the ability to change its form altogether, and it could even mimic other living creatures. And this is something that octopuses actually are able to do. Not exactly change their form completely, but they can go from being smooth skinned to taking on the form of a rock or a coral patch. And there's some species that do use their tentacles as a lure, trying to mimic smaller fish to lure bigger fish in so they can eat it. But this guy was allegedly witnessed by scientists to morph into 15 other aquatic species. So that's, I mean, that right there should point to the fact that this is a bullshit story. Like the other stuff, like, yeah, sure, this is stuff that octopuses normally do. They flash colors, they're able to change colors, then change their forms, they can shrink and expand. There's even species of octopus that has venom. So none of this stuff seems out of the normal other than the 14 tentacles. But then you get to the fact that it's able to morph into other aquatic species.
Yeah, that is a little bit far-fetched. It was really believable up to there. I mean, they start off this whole thing by saying that a former member of a project there Dr. Anton Padlaka had come out of Russia claiming that their government and that others around the world, prominently the United States, are keeping the activities there under wraps. And he says that there's a specialized elevator that was installed, and it goes down under the ice, of course, and that's where they discover this weird species. But they claim that there's another continent deep below the ice, and it hosts, quote, an ancient civilization unknown to the modern world, as well as hundreds and hundreds of lakes flowing below the ice. Now that stuff's a little far-fetched, but it's stuff we've all heard before, especially talking about Antarctica, right?
Yeah, it's always the frozen wasteland that hides the long dead civilization. And I mean, I think a lot of that probably goes back to the fact that when we realized it existed and we didn't have any answers for it, and then it became a thing of great mystery. And then you had Lovecraft writing at the Mountains of Madness. And then you had this story, The Thing, was based off of Who Goes There. And that was about some weird alien thing that was frozen under the ice. And I just think it kind of took on a aura of mythology because it's unexplained. And whenever you have things that are unexplained, there's a mystery behind it. And what's that mystery? And then people start speculating, and then people start putting theories out there. And then eventually you get these ideas that start coming and people start embellishing. And then you've got evidence of a hidden civilization frozen beneath the ice. And, you know, it just kind of goes round and round and starts conspiracy theories and all manner of bullshit. When really it's just people pondering the mysteries of the world. Why does Antarctica exist? Why is it a thing?
Antarctica itself is just weird. I mean, how we as the United States almost fought to get that as part of our territory, how the only human presence there is scientific teams, 2 miles of ice. I mean, this place is a mystery within itself. And when we're talking about unearthing strange shit, I mean, it's probably going to happen there before anywhere else. But I mean, they're not necessarily digging for that, supposedly. And this whole story was very believable, but right off the bat, it was all conspiratorial. It's Russia and the United States right off the bat. So I was like, oh, okay. But the part that made me really send you the text of, hey, can you Joe Nickel this fucking story, was the end part where they mentioned that this thing mimicked a crew member. And this is a quote from this supposed doctor dude. It says, during an observation mission, Padlaka and an unnamed marine biologist came across another member of the crew in the area. By the time the crew member had resumed the form of the octopus that it actually was, the biologist had been, quote, ripped to pieces by this deadly creature. Using their most agile crew member, Dr. Marta Kalashnik, as bait, the unit would eventually capture the creature. According to Padlaka, as soon as they brought the creature to the surface, Russian security personnel took charge of it, confiscating it for security. And he says that he came forward with this information because they thought they were there on scientific research. But as soon as they started to find weird stuff, the military was sent there and they pretty much took it over. And they figured that they were going to try to weaponize whatever they found. So he fled to Switzerland, I believe the article said. So it's really believable. But geez, I mean, an octopus taking the form of a person. I mean,
that's like the thing.
Yeah, exactly.
You know? Like we found this weird creature under the ice, and then it took on the form of one of our people, and it ripped him to pieces. And then I had to burn the base to the ground, and then sit outside with my last remaining friend, and we drank whiskey together.
Did you ever play that video game?
No, I heard it was awesome.
Oh man, you gotta play that. It's PS3, so good luck. But it was great. It continues the story
after the movie.
Yes, sir. There's a team that's
so is Childs in fact the thing?
No, he in the game he is frozen there, but McReady he survived. You're part of a team that's sent to rescue them because nobody's heard from them in a long time, and then the thing has escaped and it takes over your crew. It's cool. Like if you capture people, you hold the gun towards their face a little bit, and they'll like tell you the truth. You can intimidate them and shit. It's awesome.
Have you heard the theory that Childs is the thing?
I've heard many theories, but I don't think I've heard that one. Do tell.
So it's at the end when they both sit down. There's a part earlier in the movie where MacReady puts gasoline in a bottle, and at the end when they're sitting there at the basically waiting to die, freeze to death, they're sharing the bottle. And I guess one of the things is that whenever the thing was taking the shape of someone, its breath wouldn't show up in the cold like a human's breath would, like with the steam coming out. And at the end, I guess MacReady's breath he could see, but you can't see Child's breath. And then he passes him the bottle, and he takes a drink off the bottle, and that's supposed to be the same bottle that he filled with gasoline earlier. And that was like his test. And Childs drank it and didn't react to just drinking gasoline.
Huh. I don't buy that at all.
I don't know, man. It could be anybody. Hell, MacReady could be the thing. Who the fuck knows?
Well, that doctor, Bennings, when he became the thing and they chase him outside, he busts through the wall and he's standing in the snow and he lets out that gnarly roar. There's tons of steam coming out of his mouth. It's before he shot or ripped anything open. He just runs outside and he goes, and then they spray him with the flamethrower.
I don't remember that. So that does put a hole in that theory then. So I don't understand. I don't know.
The remake wasn't bad either. I like that one.
Well, it wasn't even really a remake. It was a prequel. But my whole gripe with it was all the CGI instead of practical effects.
Yeah, that's always my gripe.
Yeah.
Hey everyone, you may not know this, but it's been many, many days from the time that you heard us just talking a few minutes ago. Shortly after the last thing that was just said, Mike's computer opened up a black hole within itself and imploded.
I mean, that's a little bit of hyperbole, but in reality, what happened was my entire computer froze, and then there was a few minutes of recording after what you heard, which was basically me saying, I don't know what the fuck is going on. I'm staring at a black screen right now, and my computer's not doing anything. And that I probably repeated that a number of times, and then finally my computer stopped doing that, and I was able to save my recording and then restart my computer. And upon restarting my computer, I found out that there were updates that had to run that were, for some reason, because these updates had to run, decided to shit all over my computer and everything that I was doing at that point in time. And by the time the updates all completed, it was like fucking 2 a.m, and I didn't want to record anymore. So here we are a week later, and we are ready to resume the show. We're like fucking 4 days from Christmas right now, and this is, nothing says Christmas like fake squid monsters in Antarctica. Am I right?
Yeah. I don't know. For some reason, when I think of Cthulhu in general, I think of Christmas. I don't know why. When I read Lovecraft stuff, I always picture the snow because New England. So it's always Christmas in Lovecraft stories.
It's always Christmas in the Northeast. Everybody knows that. I mean, we do get winter 8 months out of the year, but it's not always Christmas. It's just fucking shitty.
Yeah. We were talking about that, man. You sent me some pictures. You always grace me with some photos of the absolute.
I always have to send the first massive snowfall of the year, which unfortunately has already happened. We've already had like 2 snowstorms. There was actually one a couple days ago while I was at work too, and that was a son of a bitch. I work up in the hills in the middle of nowhere too, so trying to drive home and navigate through that shit is a bitch and a bastard.
Oh man.
Yeah.
But it got to the 30s over here, and everybody in this house got sick. So it gave me a new appreciation for your bravery and perseverance.
I would kill for 30s, man. Today today when I woke up, it was like fucking 4 degrees or something. My way to work, it was 8 degrees.
Jesus.
And by midday, it was fucking 14.
No.
Yeah. So, I would kill for 30 degrees right now.
Well, in keeping with the tradition of the show, if you guys, for them, you just heard it, but for us, it's been a week, but we researched a bunk subject, so there's just a couple of things we were going to talk about. And one thing I saw that I had to ask you about, Mike, it's pretty funny, but I want you to watch this video and tell me, do you get anything from the video? Like if you were there, would this have surprised you at all? But when I went to find it to send it to you, it came up right away. So some people may know about this, but it's this clip from this TV show called Live PD, which is basically modern day cops. And they run into some dude that's weird, and he makes some weird claims, and then some weird shit happens. So we're going to let Mike watch this and then see his reaction. Okay, so that's the end of the video. And before you react, Mike, I want to tell everybody what happened in this video. The clip is called Live PD Meets Jesus. And it starts with them pulling over this car, and this guy gets out, and agreeably, Mike Wright, he's super erratic. I mean, he's a straight up crackhead.
I don't know if I'd call him a crackhead. He's definitely acting out of the normal. I don't think I would necessarily call him a crackhead.
I would. And it turns from
I would.
It turns from him being a crackhead slowly after they talk to him and make contact with him to him being mentally unstable. But they're going to check on him because he's...
I don't even know if I'd say... Like, the only thing unstable about him is the fact that he's claiming to be Jesus Christ.
Well, you don't get any... See, that's what I was going to ask you.
No, because he seemed very calm and very reasonable. He seemed weird, but that was just it. He just seemed weird. Like, he didn't seem like twitchy and like strung out or anything. He was wearing a tie and a button-up shirt. He didn't look... He was wearing a pair of nice sunglasses. He didn't look like...
At 11 o'clock at night.
Well, yeah, at 11 o'clock at night. But he didn't look like a goddamn disgrace. He acted, like you would expect someone to be that was all hopped up on some sort of drug to act in a different manner. He didn't act like he was all fucked up on drugs. He acted like maybe he's a little mentally unbalanced, but I thought he comported himself pretty well. They put him in cuffs to detain him, and he was agreeable with them, and he didn't even really put up a fight. He was just like, why do you have to cuff me? And then they cuffed him, and then he's like, watch this, in 5 minutes they're gonna let me out.
Yeah, he says that a few times. He tells them, He even stops and tells the camera, watch, in 5 minutes you're going to let me out and be apologizing to me and let me go. And within 5 minutes, tell them what happens, Mike.
They do just that. They get a call over the radio saying that there were shots fired somewhere else. They run his information. He comes back completely clean. They let him go and apologize, and he's on his way, and the cops go on their way. It's crazy.
It is crazy. And what did you think about Jesus telling him before he left? He's like, I need you to take a deep breath and calm down before you go do what you have to do. Did you find that interesting at all?
Yeah, and I found it interesting the way it started. He gets out of his car, and they're like, what are you doing? And he's like, I had to meet you guys.
Yeah, that was strange too. We had to meet. I saw you guys. I know you saw me.
Yeah, crazy. So
do you think they met Jesus Christ? Did I just call Jesus a crackhead?
You did. You called Jesus a crackhead. Why do you hate Jesus, Mateo?
I don't hate
Mateo
Jesus.
hates Jesus. Everybody send hate mail to Mateo. He hates Jesus and Santa and old people and little kids. He's a fucking asshole.
It's true.
I do think it's an interest. Like, I definitely don't think that it was Jesus by any means. I think the guy was mentally unstable, and that's about the extent of it.
Yeah, I just found the coincidence very entertaining.
Very entertaining and very interesting as well. But who knows? Maybe it is the reincarnation of Jesus, or Yeshua, as he referred to himself. But I mean, that's traditionally, that's what Jesus' name was. So, but
now, if you were the cameraman filming that, would you have caught that or found that strange at all? Because those cops it went right over their head. They were just like, okay, well, we got to go. Understandably, they got to respond to some serious shit, but
yeah, people were getting shot. They're like, we don't have time to fuck around with Jesus anymore.
Yeah, exactly. But would have been like, did you guys just realize he said exactly what was going to happen?
I think that's why they kept it on the show because of that. Like think about all the footage that goes on during those shows.
Right.
There's hours upon hours of footage and there's all manner of things that occur. But I think they kept that on because of the weirdness of the situation. You know, that it's not like that was a live show. That was a recorded show, and it was edited to show all the best stuff that happens. And I think that's why they kept it in, because it was fucking weird. Like, Jesus got pulled over and he was drinking Monster energy drinks.
Oh man, yeah, I like that guy, the crackhead.
He wasn't a crackhead. He was all hopped up on the Monster, Mateo. Don't disparage the good name of Yeshua Christ.
Oh man, geez, great. He's gonna become a counterpart in the whole Time War now.
You never know, man. You never know. Maybe after evil time traveling Barack Obama finally succeeds in killing Barry, Yeshua steps up, and that's when his power actually comes into fruition. He accepts his mantle as savior of man, and harnesses the power of God himself to finally defeat evil time traveling Barack Obama at the end of time.
I tried to tell you guys I was coming through that cop show.
No one believed me. Me and my monster's about to kick some ass. He slugs a full can of Monster, crushes the can against his forehead, and fucking gets into the Karate Kid crane kick stance. And just decapitates evil time traveling Barack Obama with the fiercest crane kick that's ever existed in the history of all crane kicks that have ever been kicked ever.
Yeah, when his head flies off, there'll be like a trail of like 1,000 different Obama heads throughout time, signifying the death of all of them.
Every drop of blood that hits the ground spawns 1,000 barn owls. And thus the future becomes populated solely by barn owls. But because Yeshua was the one to kill evil time traveling Barack Obama, all of the barn owls become his minions, and they now become part of his army of good. And all of these new barn owls have to fight against the old evil barn owls, and they need to resurrect humanity for all of the evil that their ancestors did in the name of evil time traveling Barack Obama.
Ooh, I like it.
Yeah.
This could be a major motion picture that branches off into a Netflix series.
Yeah, it could. It could. I'm trademarking this now, motherfucker, so don't try to steal this shit. This is recorded as me saying, we call dibs. Dibs on this idea. Fuck off if you try to steal it. Sums of bitches.
Well, another thing we did in prep to not have anything to talk about, since what we looked up was garbage, was we turned to Instagram and we asked for your guys' suggestions, and we got a few here. Our buddy Javis Garcia says, curses and hexes. Have we done a show about curses and hexes, Mike? I feel like we have.
I feel like we have too, but it might not have been solely on curses and hexes. It was probably stuff that came up in the course of discussing other things, but I could be wrong. I'm sure we could fish up some curses and hexes. Hey, maybe we could do Wizard War Part 2.
That would be dope.
Talk about more wizards that go to war and curse and hex each other.
Our buddy Nashville Rails says Montauk Revisited, which could be cool.
But is he talking about the Montauk Monster, or is he talking about the Montauk Project?
Probably all of it.
Oh my God. We cannot talk about all things Montauk. We need specifics, damn you.
He also says Japanese ghost legends, which I'd love to do. I remember we talked about yokai, I think, on Alex's show years ago. I don't think we've done a yokai show, but
no, we haven't. We we were going, the original deal was that we were going to go on Alex's show and talk about yokai, and then he was going to come on our show and talk about yokai. But we did his show, and that was that. So take that as a plus or minus as you will. But if there's interest in us doing a yokai episode or Japanese ghost stories, I'm all for it. I think that shit's cool, and I would like to branch out and start tackling more stuff from other cultures. There's a lot of really cool stuff that's out there, and especially in like the farther back you go into folklore, the more crazy shit gets. And if there's more interest in Japanese stuff, we can start there. I'm definitely interested in that.
Yeah,
so,
I love the yokai stuff, so I've got a bunch of books and websites at the ready.
Nice.
For that.
So yeah, you guys, if you want us to do that, then hit us up on Twitter or Facebook or Instagram. Are we anywhere else that they can? Oh, our website or our email, thewhatcasters.com@gmail.com. Or if you're a patron, you can, I think, send us stuff on Patreon.
Yeah.
Speaking of Patreon, if you guys aren't patrons, you can go over and check that out. We do a sticker club every month, and it's a new design, a new sticker every single month. They're fancy as fuck. Some of them are super shiny. Some of them are awesome. All original artwork. It's exclusive only to the sticker club, and the only way to join the sticker club is to join Patreon. But we also have another tier with prints that Mateo does. He does a limited run that's limited only to the patrons on that level, and after that, he eats the print so that no more can ever be made ever.
It's true.
And then he shits it out.
Mm-hmm.
And then once it flushes, it's gone, and no one will ever see that print again. So super exclusive shit in the past, just to kind of give you guys some idea of what to expect. He's done a Hopkinsville Goblin sketch. He has done a really awesome cyborg evil time traveling Barack Obama print. He's done your mom naked. It was very tasteful, but you know, all the patrons now have a print of your mom naked. So it's probably good that you didn't sign up that month, because that would have been really fucking awkward.
Don't get too mad. Like Mike said, it's gone now. I don't have any.
Yeah, it's gone now. It was only given to the patrons. So, you know, there's only a few people jerking off to your mom.
Oh, another suggestion was by Miss Karen. She said superstitions, and I've actually, while going to the library recently looking up books on other shit, I've come across a lot of superstition books, so that's something that we should probably get into as well.
We have done a superstition episode before, but we could do a sequel to that. I don't see why not. It would have been good if we could have timed it with Friday the 13th last week, but
yeah.
What can you do? We'd have to be on top of our shit in order to do that, and clearly we're not. So yeah, well, we could definitely do another superstition episode. I find that stuff to be incredibly fascinating. How the whole superstitions get involved. I'll probably have to go back and listen to our first one though, because I forgot which ones we talked about, and I don't want to do a repeat if we can avoid it.
Yeah, and with all the books that I've seen at the other library recently, I mean, there's literally 4 or 5 books, so we'll be able to get a bunch out of them. There is another suggestion.
Okay.
That says barn owls, of course, but it's followed up with a question, Mike, that I'll pose to you.
Is it tied to barn owls?
Maybe.
When he says barn owls, does he mean like he wants us to talk about, like, just do an episode on barn owls, or does he want us to cover all things that have been blamed on barn owls, or does he want us to turn into barn owls? Like, be more specific, man. Come on. That's a very broad subject, and I could take that any number of ways.
Yeah, I think I will answer for him and say an episode about what barn owls have been blamed for in media and us turning into barn owls. I think we can do it.
Well, luckily, I've always been a barn owl, so it's not going to take much. There's a reason I hide behind a computer screen and never show my face. I'm the humanist sounding barn owl you'll ever meet.
It's like a bad Budweiser commercial in the 90s. Yeah. It's just like a puppet that's only its head turned side to side, but it sounds like a perfect human.
Oh no, I can go almost a full 180. I'm a goddamn barn owl. All right.
But like I said, the same person, our friend Mark78, follows up the statement of barn owls with a show subject that we should cover as well, and that is the question: why is he still alive? Mike?
So Mark wants us to cover. He wants us to devote an entire episode into why he's alive after talking about barn owls. Are these two things tied together? Is this going to be like a one episode that we just split in half? One talking about barn owls, the other talking about why Mark is still alive?
I think we can mix the two.
Or is he being greedy and he wants to give us two suggestions for video or for shows?
I think he's authentically curious as to why he's still alive, and I think we can mix the two because I think Mark is alive because of barn owls.
Because of barn owls.
Yes.
Well, that's an interesting take. I see. I'm more of the mind that barn owls exist purely for the destruction of our kind, and that none of us are alive because of barn owls. The fact that we're still alive is only pointing to the fact that there's not enough barn owls to kill us all. But as to why Mark himself is still alive, well, to answer that question, we have to go back 65 million years to the time of the dinosaurs. Now, Mark, you've got ancestors that date back to that era. And now a lot of people don't know this. They think, dinosaurs, like everything on the planet at that time was a dinosaur, but that's not true. There were insects, and there were these little tiny mammals that kind of resemble a mole or a mouse. They were rodents, basically. But your ancestors were among this group of animals. So 65 million years ago, your family group are these little fucking rodents living off the scraps of the land. But luckily for you specifically, Mark, your family was spared when the comet crashed into Earth, destroying dinosaur kind as we know it. Because you're a little tiny scavenger rat monster animal thing, you and your family lived pretty well on the decaying corpses of these dinosaurs that had perished as a result of this comet impact. And over time, you became accustomed to dinosaur flesh. But as all dead things do, they decay and you're left with nothing but a skeleton. So what do you do when your food source is gone? Well, your family was really crafty and they decided to start hunting other small animals. And so as you would expect, the larger of the species died off first and you were able to coexist with the smaller chicken-sized dinosaurs and the gargantuan dragonflies and mosquitoes, but you figured out a way to take these giant insects out of the sky by developing these really sophisticated traps, and it involved using palm fronds and sticks, and you made this crazy net fly swatter thing so that you'd swat these giant dragonflies out of the sky, and then you and your family would swarm and rip them to pieces in a savage manner, and you'd have your food for the day.
Nice.
So over time, we're fast forwarding ahead millions of years. Your rat monster family became a stupid monkey family that later evolved into a higher ape, which later evolved into a hominid, and eventually your species of hominid, I don't know which species you were, but just for kicks, let's say Homo florensis. You were one of the hobbits. And your family was fucked out of existence by the Homo sapiens because those sons of bitches were horny as shit, and they were banging all the hominids on the planet. And eventually, they banged them all so much that there was only one dominant species remaining, and that was Homo sapiens sapien. But Homo sapiens sapien also has the strains of all these other hominids within it. So, you still have your Homo florensis blood in you somewhere, buried deep down. And maybe from time to time you'll remember that. And deep down in your DNA, you still have that stupid rat monster DNA in you that just makes you want to swat flies out of the sky and eat them. And you don't know why. Maybe it's because they taste good. Maybe it's something else, but it's probably because they taste good, according to your stupid rat monster brain. Not that you yourself have a stupid rat monster brain, but somewhere in your DNA lurks this stupid rat monster brain.
Tens of millions of years ago.
You're a survivor.
You're a survivor. That's why you're alive
It's
today.
cool. You can live off flies. Just don't eat the poop flies. You'll get fucking hepatitis. No one wants that. No.
Yeah, don't do that. But eat some flies and declarate, I do this to survive.
Maybe you raise flies for maggots so you know that they don't have poop diseases. I don't know. I don't know what your deal is, but you like flies, and that's cool. That's all I'm saying. It's cool. You can eat your flies. So
and that's why you're alive.
No, that's not why he's alive. That's leading up to the reason
still
he's
alive.
Sorry. I mean, he's still alive because he's getting nourishment from the flies. I mean, that's just the physiological reason for him to be alive. But the philosophical reason for him to be alive is so that he can reproduce and he can spread the stupid rat monster gene to the next generation. But you see, just like the stupid rat monster is eating the fucking bugs after the extinction of the dinosaurs, his family too will evolve. And you see, Mark, the reason that you're alive right now is because you are destined to lead humanity to the next step on the evolutionary ladder. You yourself, surviving rat monster from 65 million years ago, to stupid monkey monster, to horny hominid banging humans like a fucking Lord of the Rings pimp. You're just you and your family are destined to lead humankind to the next evolution. And maybe down the road, this evolution will help to fight against evil time-traveling Barack Obama. Maybe evil time-traveling Barack Obama will just snuff you out completely somewhere down the line. And all of this step and all these steps along the evolutionary ladder were absolutely for nothing, and your entire existence is meaningless and amounts to nothing.
I say that with the way we know how time travel goes, that if he exists right now, that's because he's well protected in the time travel realm. So, again, survivor. But
here's the thing. Owls eat rats.
Oh.
Yeah. Sorry, Mark. In the end, you're fucked. It's all for nothing. And, basically just enjoy your time while you're here. Eat a good burger. Maybe spread your seed among some hominids here and there.
I happen to have a different theory.
Okay, let's hear your theory.
I agree with yours up to there. I think that Mark's mind is going to be so imprinted with centuries and eons of ancestral fly swatting traps and building of such devices that when the Great Time War happens and the flood of barn owls fills the sky, him and him alone will build trillions upon trillions of traps that will take them out of the sky, saving humanity.
It's going to be like The Secret of Nim.
Yeah.
The secret weapon. And just this big fucking mechanical thing swats an army of barn owls out of the sky, and then all these rat monsters swarm on the writhing bodies of the barn owls that have just crashed to the earth, and tear them limb from limb and eat them.
Yeah.
All right, Mark, you're back in the game. You and your rat monster family are going to eat the barn owls and save humankind.
Yep.
All hail, Mark.
Yeah.
Rat King of the centuries.
Thank you for listening to the Whatcast. You can find us on Twitter, Instagram, Facebook, iTunes, and YouTube. Enjoy the podcast. Get yourself a Whatcast t-shirt or a sticker pack. Who was that dude on that one episode? Try the links in Homie's page. All this and more can be found at www.thewhatcasters.com. Thanks again for listening and have a great week.